Commander Zaranth Blackthorn stared at the flashing red warning lights and couldn't help but laugh. These idiots really thought they could break out of the void? She cracked her knuckles, the sound echoing through the monitoring station like breaking bones. Security breach in Block X743 chirped the AI in its painfully cheerful voice. Category 7 inmates attempting unauthorized cell modification. Category 7. Those would be the plasma-based lifeforms, right? Zaranth asked, already striding toward the armory. The ones who think they're so clever because they can temporarily alter their molecular structure. Correct, Commander. Current escape probability calculated at 78.3%. Zaranth snorted as she punched in her access code. Your algorithms need updating. They don't factor in having a human guard. The void hung in space like a malevolent black pearl, its surface absorbing all light that touched it. Built inside a collapsed dwarf star, it housed the galaxy's worst criminals, being so dangerous that most species couldn't even look at them without going insane. Which was precisely why they'd finally started hiring humans as guards. All non-human personnel, initiate lockdown protocols, Zaranth commanded, sliding her arms into a temperature-regulated containment suit. And somebody get me a coffee. This is going to be fun. 3 tentacled Arxians slithered past her, their color-shifting skin betraying their terror. She didn't blame them, their species was naturally empathic, and Block X743 housed beings that literally ate emotions for breakfast. Commander, one of them burbled anxiously, regulations state that single guards should not engage Category 7 inmates without backup. Yes, I know. Zaranth checked her quantum phase disruptor. But here's the thing about human backup, we're really good at being our own. She winked at the Arxian, who promptly fainted. The monitoring screens showed chaos erupting in X743. Plasma beings were seeping through what they thought were microscopic cracks in their containment fields. What they didn't know was that humans had designed those cracks specifically for this scenario. Begin Operation Mousetrap, Zaranth whispered into her comm, striding toward the cell block. And someone make sure to record this. The training department's been asking for new Why We Hired Deathworlders orientation videos. As the blast doors sealed behind her, Zaranth couldn't help but grin. Just another day at the office, showing the galaxy why you always bet on the species crazy enough to evolve on a planet that actively tried to kill them. Let me make sure I understand this correctly. Administrator Zelf-Talk buzzed, their crystalline antennae vibrating with barely contained amusement. You, a human from a Class 12 Deathworld, want to be a guard at the galaxy's most sophisticated containment facility. Zaranth Blackthorn sat perfectly still in the uncomfortably geometric chair, designed by beings who clearly had a different understanding of spinal structure. The interview room of the Void's administrative section sparkled with bioluminescent panels, making everything look like the inside of a disco ball having an existential crisis. That's right, she replied, maintaining eye contact with all 7 of Zelf-Talk's optical organs. Though I have to correct you, Earth was recently reclassified as Class 13. The panel of alien administrators exchanged what they probably thought were subtle glances. The Medusan to her left actually sprouted 3 new eyes just to participate in the shared look of disbelief. And what purred Director Valshara, a felinoid being who looked like someone had tried to cross a sphinx with a quantum computer, makes you think you're qualified to handle beings that can alter the fabric of reality. Zaranth smiled. Well, for starters, I survived high school cafeteria food. Confused silence. That was a joke, she added helpfully. Though technically also true, but more relevantly, I checked your records. In the past solar cycle, you've had 18 escape attempts, all during shifts staffed exclusively by non-human guards. Those incidents are classified, started the Medusan. And in every case, Zaranth continued, the inmates exploited the same weakness, your guards' natural self-preservation instincts. Administrator Zelf-Talk's antennae stiffened. Are you suggesting humans lack self-preservation? Oh no, Zaranth leaned forward. We have it. We just consider it more of a helpful suggestion than a rule. Look, your current guards are from species that evolved in stable, predictable environments. When something unexpected happens, their first instinct is to retreat and reassess. As any rational being would, Valshara noted dryly. Exactly. But human Zaranth gestured to herself. We evolved on a planet that regularly tries to kill us with everything from microscopic organisms to continent-sized storms. Our first instinct isn't to retreat, it's to punch the unexpected thing in the face and see what happens. That sounds incredibly primitive, the Medusan observed. Funny you should say that. Zaranth reached into her pocket, causing the entire panel to flinch. She slowly withdrew a small rubber ball. Want to see something primitive? Before anyone could respond, she threw the ball against the floor. It bounced up, ricocheted off 3 walls, and landed perfectly in her palm. Just basic physics, she explained to their stunned faces. But I bet none of you could catch it. Your reflexes evolved for your homeworld's gravity and atmosphere. Humans? We're natural predators who can calculate complex trajectories instinctively. We call it hand-eye coordination, really useful for catching escaped prisoners. And the psychological toll of containing dangerous entities, Valshara pressed. Zaranth grinned. We invented reality TV. Trust me, nothing in your cells can break us mentally. The administrators huddled, speaking in rapid xenolinguistic clicks and whistles. Finally, Zilftalk turned back to her. We will require a practical demonstration. Of course, Zaranth stood, stretching casually. Should I use the training room? Or would you prefer I handle the Class 9 shapeshifter currently trying to escape through your ventilation system? All heads snapped up to the ceiling vent, where a metallic liquid was indeed seeping through. How did you? Heard it 10 minutes ago. Just wanted to see how long it'd take you to notice. Zaranth cracked her neck. So, about that job? Back in the present, Zaranth sprinted down the corridor as alarms blared overhead. The plasma beings had been a distraction. The real threat was the Morphoid collective in Block Z, and they'd just gone active. Status report, she barked into her comm. 15 Morphoids merged into a single entity, the AI responded. Current mass approximately 2,000 kilos. They've absorbed 3 security drones and appear to be digesting the technology. Of course they are. Zaranth rounded a corner to find 2 Arxian guards frozen in terror, their tentacles wrapped around themselves. Get to the safe room, she ordered, pushing past them. I've got this. The scene in Block Z looked like something out of a nightmare's nightmare. A writhing mass of silver-black liquid metal filled most of the chamber, tentacles of living mercury probing every surface. Embedded in its surface, half-dissolved security drones sparked and twitched. Hey, ugly, Zaranth called out. Those drones are coming out of my paycheck. The mass rippled, forming something approximating a face. The human guard had spoke with 15 voices in perfect harmony. We wondered when you'd arrive. Well, you know us humans always fashionably late to the party. Zaranth activated her quantum disruptor. Though I should warn you, I'm a terrible dancer. The Morphoid collective surged forward, splitting into multiple streams to surround her. Zaranth dove and rolled, firing precise bursts at each tendril. Where the quantum energy hit, the liquid metal briefly crystallized before shattering. Interesting strategy, the voices echoed. But we adapt quickly. The next wave of attacks came faster, the metal now deflecting her shots. Zaranth switched tactics, pulling out what looked like a simple metal sphere. You know what I love about being human? She dodged another strike, sliding under a metallic tentacle. We're really good at learning from our mistakes. For instance, that job interview made me realize something about shaped charges. She threw the sphere into the heart of the mass. The Morphoid collective actually laughed. They could simply flow around explosives. Not a bomb, Zaranth grinned, pressing a button on her wrist. A gravity well. The sphere activated, creating a localized field of Earth normal gravity. The Morphoids, evolved in a 0.3G environment, suddenly found themselves 15 times heavier than they'd ever experienced. The collective screamed in multiple octaves as it collapsed inward, unable to maintain cohesion under the crushing force. Zaranth didn't waste time celebrating. She was already moving, deploying containment fields around each separated Morphoid. Listen up, she shouted over their struggles. Fun fact about humans: we evolved throwing rocks to hunt. Developed whole brain sections just for calculating trajectories. So trust me when I say the next thing I throw won't be nearly as pleasant as a gravity well. One of the morphoids, apparently braver or stupider than its companions, launched itself at her face. Zaranth's hand shot up, catching it mid-air. The liquid metal tried to flow around her fingers, but she squeezed, her reinforced glove preventing absorption. "Let me demonstrate another human trait," she said conversationally, walking to the nearest containment cell. "We're really stubborn." She threw the morphoid in, activating the field, "and we have excellent aim." The remaining morphoids, perhaps finally understanding why humans had been hired as guards, slithered back to their cells voluntarily. "Smart choice," Zaranth nodded, sealing each cell. "Though I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed. I had at least 3 more clever one-liners prepared." She tapped her comm. "Block Z secured. Send in the cleanup crew, and someone tell administration we're going to need more gravity wells. These things are too much fun not to use again." The AI chimed in. "Commander, preliminary analysis suggests the morphoids had outside help. Their molecular structure shows traces of illegal enhancement." "Of course it does." Zaranth picked up a piece of shattered liquid metal, watching it try and fail to reform. "Guess I better go interview our dear friend in cell block D. You know, the one who just happens to specialize in genetic modification of metallic-based life forms." As she headed toward the high-security wing, Zaranth couldn't help but smile. The galaxy thought humans were primitive because they relied on crude physical combat instead of sophisticated psychic abilities or energy manipulation. But they missed one crucial detail: humans didn't just survive on a death world, they conquered it. And now, in the most secure prison in the galaxy, that same combination of intelligence, adaptability, and sheer bloody-minded determination was proving invaluable. Though Zaranth had to admit, the look on a morphoid's face when it realized it was about to experience Earth gravity. That was just a bonus. Zaranth sat in the interrogation room, twirling a standard-issue stylus between her fingers while staring at Dr. K. Vex, a being that looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a supercomputer. The geneticist's neural tendrils twitched nervously. "Let's make this simple," she said, snapping the stylus. "Those morphoids were enhanced. You're the only one with both the expertise and access. The question is, who's paying you?" "I don't respond to primitive intimidation tactics," K. Vex pulsed indignantly. "Intimidation?" Zaranth laughed, pulling out her lunch. "This is a peanut butter sandwich. Totally harmless. Unless you're aware that Earth nuts evolve toxins that could kill most species. Want a bite?" K. Vex's translucent body turned a sickly shade of green. "You wouldn't dare. Try me. We humans have this thing called allergies, makes us really good at understanding biological warfare." She took a deliberate bite. "Delicious." The doctor's tendrils wrapped protectively around their central core. "The collective will protect me." "The who now?" Zaranth leaned forward, sandwich forgotten. "That's interesting. Because the only collective I know of is currently negotiating trade deals with the Galactic Council, unless she checked the security feeds on her tablet." Well. Looks like someone's been accessing classified files about experimental quantum tunneling." K. Vex's bioluminescence flickered in what Zaranth had learned was their species' equivalent of a cold sweat. "The prison's AI flagged something interesting," she continued. "Every time you accessed genetic modification files, someone was downloading quantum physics data from a terminal in Block Y, the same block housing our resident quantum terrorist, Dr. Helix. You can't prove." "Don't need to." Zaranth stood, cracking her knuckles. "See another fun human trait? Pattern recognition. We evolved it hunting on the savannah. Really helps spot conspiracies." She keyed her comm. "Security team to Block Y. And someone bring me more peanut butter." K. Vex broke. "The collective plans to use the quantum tunneling to free their operatives. They're building a network of enhanced beings across every major prison in the galaxy." "There it is." Zaranth smiled. "And the best part? We've known for weeks. Just needed you to confirm it. Those morphoids, we let them enhance themselves. Every trace they left led us right back here." The doctor's neural tendrils went limp with shock. "But the escape attempt was about as real as my intention to force-feed you peanut butter." She held up her sandwich. This is actually made from synthetic proteins, completely harmless. But you believed it because everyone knows humans are crazy enough to weaponize their food. As security teams moved to secure Block Y, Zaranth watched the feeds with satisfaction. Dr. Helix was already in custody, their quantum computing arrays dismantled. Have to admire the plan, though, she mused. Using a prison break to disguise a galaxy-wide infiltration network. Almost brilliant, just one flaw. "What's that?" K-Vex asked miserably. "You forgot that humans don't just guard prisoners. We study them, learn their patterns, and most importantly," she grinned, "we love solving puzzles, even if we have to think like criminals to do it." The alarms finally fell silent, and Zaranth knew the real work was just beginning. There would be more conspiracies, more enhanced beings, more attempts to outsmart the primitive humans. And she couldn't wait. High Administrator Sylph-Talk's antennae drooped as they read the final report on the collective conspiracy. Beside them, Director Valshara's tail twitched with barely contained embarrassment. So Zaranth leaned back in her chair, a proper human-designed one this time, about that primitive species evaluation. The Galactic Council has approved immediate implementation of human guard protocols across all maximum security facilities. Sylph-Talk buzzed. They were particularly impressed by your sandwich interrogation technique. "You mean the bluff that wasn't actually a bluff because humans really did evolve to eat toxic plants for fun?" Zaranth grinned. "Yeah, we're weird like that." The promotion ceremony was almost worth the paperwork. Almost. Zaranth stood before the assembled alien administrators, trying not to laugh at their carefully neutral expressions as she was named Chief Security Director of the entire prison network. In recognition of unprecedented success in threat detection, containment, and conspiracy prevention, Valshara read from a glowing tablet, "We hereby acknowledge the superior suitability of Deathworlder psychology for high-security operations." "Don't strain yourself," Zaranth murmured. "Just say humans are scary, and we're glad they're on our side." The new security protocols were a thing of beauty. Every major facility now had a human oversight team. Training programs included Earth-standard physical conditioning, which led to some hilarious moments watching six-limbed aliens attempt push-ups. The truly fascinating aspect, Zaranth explained to a group of new recruits, isn't our physical capabilities, it's how we think. Take the Morphoid incident. Any other species would have developed better containment fields. Humans? We went, hey, what if we just made them really heavy? The alien guards exchanged nervous glances. One raised a tentacle. But isn't that inefficient? Compared to psychic suppression fields and quantum locks? Absolutely. But here's the thing about humans: we don't always need the most elegant solution. Sometimes you just need to hit the problem with a stick until it behaves. Back in her new office, now featuring actual chairs and a coffee maker that didn't try to analyze her mood, Zaranth reviewed the latest security updates. Applications from human guards had skyrocketed after word got out about the fun they could have. Final log entry, she spoke to her recorder. "You know what makes humans the perfect prison guards? It's not our strength, or our endurance, or even our capacity for violence. It's the fact that we look at the most dangerous beings in the galaxy and think, I bet I could punch that." She paused, watching through her window as a training session unfolded. A human instructor was teaching a group of alien guards how to use simple rope to restrain energy beings. "The galaxy calls us primitive because we still rely on physical solutions. They don't realize that's our greatest strength. While they were evolving complex psychic defenses, we were figuring out how to trap smarter animals with sticks and stones. While they were developing energy manipulation, we were learning to throw rocks really, really well." A smile crossed her face as an alarm sounded, just a drill this time. "So yes, we're primitive. We're the primitive species that turned our predatory instincts into an art form. We're the primitive species that looks at impossible problems and solves them with gravity and sandwiches. And now, we're the primitive species keeping the galaxy's worst nightmares safely locked away." She stood, straightening her uniform. "And the best part? We're having fun doing it. Welcome to Advanced Galactic Corrections." Zaranth addressed the new batch of human recruits. "You're here because you're crazy enough to want the most dangerous job in the galaxy. Congratulations, you'll fit right in." The orientation room buzzed with excitement. 20 humans, fresh from Earth's military and law enforcement agencies, sat ready to learn how to guard beings that could bend reality. First lesson, she held up a simple rubber ball. Sometimes the most primitive solution is the best solution. The aliens hate that. Makes for great entertainment. A hand shot up. Is it true you stopped a morphoid outbreak with a sandwich? Technically, the threat of a sandwich Zaranth corrected. Which brings us to lesson 2, psychological warfare doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes just being human is scary enough. The facility had changed in the year since the collective incident. Human and alien guards now worked in integrated teams, each species learning from the others. The aliens provided crucial knowledge about the inmates' biology and capabilities. The humans provided what they did best, unpredictability. You'll notice some changes to standard procedures, Zaranth continued. We've simplified about 80% of the security protocols. Turns out most escape attempts can be prevented by just having someone willing to tackle a quantum anomaly. She pulled up a holographic display showing the Void's new success rates. 0 escapes since implementing human guard protocols. The aliens had finally admitted that sometimes the best solution wasn't the most technologically advanced one. And now for the really fun part, Zaranth started, but the lights suddenly flickered. The AI's voice cut through the room. Alert, unknown entity detected in central processing. Zaranth grinned at her recruits. Pop quiz. Who wants to help me punch an artificial intelligence? Every hand shot up. See, she laughed. This is why they hire us. She headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and the really ironic part. That AI? It's the one that recommended hiring humans in the first place. Apparently it ran a few billion simulations and discovered that the only thing unpredictable enough to guard chaos was chaos. The lights flickered again, and Zaranth led her team out, ready for another impossible day at the galaxy's most secure prison. After all, who better to guard the universe's nightmares than the species that turned their own nightmares into advantages?